The Lord be with you.
and with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Peter was moved to say to Jesus, "We have put aside everything to follow you." Jesus answered, "I give you my word. There is no one who has given up home, brothers or sisters, mother or father, children or property, for me and for the gospel, who will not receive in this present age 100 times as many homes, brothers and sisters, mothers, children, and property, and persecution besides, and in the age to come, everlasting life." Brothers and sisters, the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated.
My dear brothers and sisters, last week we began the month of November with a celebration of the Solemnity of All Saints. And today we could say that this is a continuation of that celebration, but on a more particular level. Because today we celebrate the feast of all Dominican saints, men and women who have followed Christ through the example and preaching of Saint Dominic. And if we are going to look at the list of those men and women, it's quite a long list, and I don't have the exact number, because there could be thousands, considering the martyrs in Vietnam, the martyrs of a certain time. There are a lot. And it is very interesting to look at the example of some of them, because somehow it would give us an idea, what does it mean to become a Dominican saint? How is he different or the same from other saints? For example, if you turn your attention to this side here, you have the image of Saint Martin, whose memorial we celebrated last November 3rd. And on that other side, you see the image of Saint Vincent Ferrer, who is portrayed as a Dominican with wings at his back. Saint Martin exemplifies humility and charity. Saint Vincent Ferrer would characterize passion for preaching. He loved to preach about the final judgment. And then if we look at other Dominican saints as well, yesterday we celebrated the memorial of another Dominican, a blessed, Buenaventura Garcia Paredes. He stayed here in the Philippines. He was one of the rectors. He was a former rector of the University of Santo Tomas. And he died a martyr. San Lorenzo Ruiz is also a martyr. Of course, how can we forget our Holy Father, Saint Dominic de Guzman, who, because of his passion for preaching and for his zeal for souls, decided to establish an order whose life is dedicated for that ministry. When we look at all those illustrious men and women who became Dominicans and who became saints, we can see how different they are from each other. But there is one thing that binds them, and that is their total surrender to God. They said yes to God, and they continued to say yes to God all the rest of their lives. And that yes meant a complete, a total surrender of their life to God. They were not perfect people. They had weaknesses, they had limitations. For example, if you look at the life of Saint Lorenzo Ruiz, it is far from perfect. Why was he able to go to Japan It was because of fear. He was afraid for his life when he was here. He was afraid that he would get arrested. So to escape that, he joined a band of Dominicans to Japan. So he didn't go there initially to become a missionary. He went with them out of his convenience. But then when he was there, faced with a trying situation, he said yes to God. We remember the line he said, "If I had 1,000 lives, I would give all of them to God." And that was his complete yes to God until the last drop of his blood. And all the Dominican saints had that characteristic in them. They surrendered totally to God, even their weaknesses, even their limitations. And this celebration that we are having today is an invitation for us to imitate their examples. Because many times when we think of a saint, we think of someone high up there on a pedestal, someone unreachable, someone whose virtues are so exemplary that we find it impossible to follow them. But today, we are being reminded that, first of all, these saints, these Dominican saints, were first of all human beings. And when we say they are human beings, they were people with limitations just like you and I. They were far from perfect people. And yet, through the invitation of God, they gave everything to Him. And they surrendered everything to Him. Not just once, but for the entirety of their life until their last breath. So the life of a Dominican, the life of becoming a saint, is a continuous invitation to say yes to God. We may not be the most intelligent, we may not be the most perfect, but when we surrender ourselves completely to God, who knows, we might be on the way to becoming saints.